Hey guys, I'm over Scream Queen, Season 2, Episode 5, Chanel Pour Homme-icide. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that name wrong, but it has been forever since Scream Queens has been on. It really has. It's been like, I think, about 4 or 5 weeks, and I did review last week's episode. The episode that was on so many weeks ago last night, mainly because I just wanted to review Scream Queens again, and I was really looking forward to this episode. You guys know I've really been enjoying this season so far. I will say that I don't think these last 2 episodes have been up to par with the first 3, but this was still a really great episode. I really enjoyed overall. Definitely was better than episode 4. There definitely was more to enjoy in here. Some of the funniest scenes I think we've ever gotten from this show were in this episode. I really did love a lot of what was going on here. But let's just get into this episode because I definitely do want to get into it. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on in this one. So we start off right off the bat. We have Chanel. She hears number 5 screams, and we get this great joke on how, Dean Munsch doesn't understand how she can hear number 5 from like a mile away. Number 3 says how they're connected, and she, along with Zadie, number 3, and Munsch discovered Denise's body. Now, luckily for number 5, it looks like she'll survive, no thanks to her friends, who can't really be bothered to muster up enough courage to get her a gurney or any medical assistance. They're just leaving her there. They don't really seem to care much about her, and Munch's first thought is that they need to dispose of Denise's body in the swamp. Obviously, because of the fact that, Denise is dead, Munch determined to not let yet another murder interfere with the hospital's mission statement to cure the incurable. She can't just keep stalling these patients. This is her mission. She will do what she can to cure the incurable, and this now includes herself, as we know. She wants to cure herself. We know that she has Karoo, and that's something that does come back to fruition in this episode, which I was happy about. I was worried they were going to drop that, but I like that did come back into the know. Zadie's against the plan of hiding Denise's body, convinced that the FBI will come looking for her, but Munch has already concocted a story about how Denise disappeared to work for some shadow organization, so it seems like they're in the clear for the most part, that this seems like it could be okay. So their argument how to deal with Denise's murder is interrupted by the sounds of men screaming. They all take off, leaving number 3 exactly where they found her. Someone killed all of the patients who had fled the emergency room after being poisoned by the Green Meanie. We don't know if it was Hester. We don't know if it was the masked monster. I bet you that it was Hester, because we know that Hester definitely was out to kill someone. We don't really know who it was. But one thing is certain, that Munch can't cover up this many deaths. And I thought that number 3, probably one of the funniest lines in this episode, where she said, blame it on Aaron Burr, because as we know, Munch is dressed up as Hamilton. That was just such a funny line. I really did love that. And first, she enlists Zadie to help her with Denise's body. Munch confides in Zadie that Denise actually isn't dead. She's actually has a faint heartbeat, but was basically brain dead. And Munch decides to use Denise as part of an experiment. She basically had this secret cryogenic chamber built with a small portion of Chad's money, and she wants to put Denise inside to prove it works before she uses it herself, just in case her condition proves fatal before they can find a cure. So you can tell it's still in her mind. She can't tell anyone about it, but the bond that Zadie and Munch have is just a lot different this season, and I think this scene really does show that. Now, Zadie really is not very much into the idea, but Munch points out it's either the chamber or they can hook Denise up to a bunch of machines and watch her slowly deteriorate, because obviously she's brain dead, and I don't know if this is saying that Denise will live and maybe they'll find a cure for her. I don't really know, because Munch thinks they're going to find a cure for electrocution. I don't think there's a cure. I don't really think there's a cure for when someone's electrocuted. Maybe there is. I don't know, but the police arrive. Munch is convinced that her dream is dead, but 1 week later, a miracle occurs, and there's no such thing as bad press, and the hospital have received tons of free publicity. We get a great monologue from her where she talks about there's medical anomalies from all across the world starting to come out of the woodwork, and the possibility of having their horrible medical fates reversed overshadows any fear of getting murdered. And one patient in particular, Penelope Hotchkiss, captures Munch's attention. Basically, there are a couple people we see. One of these girls has like a mouth, and she can't really speak, though, through her mouth. I thought that was interesting. But then we get to one of, I think, maybe the funniest patient that we've had yet, and that is Penelope Hotchkiss, which this is someone who's an interpreter for the United Nations, and she has this condition where she continuously shifts in and out of accents without even knowing. Just at the drop of the hat, she starts talking British, then she'll go Irish, then she'll go Spanish, and she's not any of those things. She's actually from Minnesota, and she tells the doctors that she did suffer a fall a few weeks earlier, but was diagnosed with a concussion and released, so clearly there's something going on here. And basically, we don't really know what that's all about, but this sets up some of the best comedy that this show has given us. I've said it before, the show does just a really good job when it comes to simple wordplay, and this is the perfect example of that. I think this show just does a really good job with that, but Chanel is no longer blue, thanks to a special solution concocted by Holt, thank God. I really did not want to see Chanel blue for the rest of the series. And number 5 has been demoted to cleaning bedpans. So definitely there's been a bit of a time jump. I don't know how long, but you can definitely tell there has been a little bit of one. She's been demoted to cleaning bedpans and other disgusting tasks under direct supervision of Nurse Hoffel, who, yes, Ingrid is back into the forefront this episode, and it was great to see. I still suspect there's something going on with her, but Chanel is distraught. Women in her family have been genetically perfected to do one thing, order people around, and she can't do that. There's no one to order around. You know, she's at the bottom of the barrel. This is a side of Chanel, like I said, that we really haven't seen before, and she decides that she and number 3 need to recruit some new minions pledges since the hospital's full of new patients. It has become woefully understaffed, so Chanel decides that it will be her job to hire new employees and train them to be Chanel's. And if she's learning anything from surviving a serial killer, it's how important it is to have less attractive, less important people around to die first. That's very important to her, and you definitely do see that here. And I thought overall, they set this up pretty well. You know, we knew eventually that the Chanels were going to come back into this somehow, and I like the way that, you know, she had this plan here, and I like the way that already we're starting to see Chanel, you know, rise from the top, definitely. So Zayde's concerned that Chamberlain may be the baby from 1985. She goes to Munsch to find out more about him, and surprisingly, Munsch actually never hired Chamberlain to be a candy striper, we find out. She thought that she was Holt's assistant, and that was very interesting. We found this out, that Munsch never really wanted to be that, and I really liked Chamberlain so far, but I feel like this is the episode where really got more into his character. Zayde decides to try and track down the mother. She enlists number 5 to help her. Number 5 is still recovering from the machete in her back, and we find out in this episode that Chamberlain didn't want to, didn't just come to the hospital because he wanted to, be a doctor. He came there because he wanted to make people feel better. He felt like this was his duty to make people feel better. He wanted to put a smile on their face. That's why he became a candy striper, because he can't really handle being a doctor. And I don't know if he has a doctorate and all that stuff, which I'm pretty sure you should. I mean, if you are in a hospital, I would assume that you're required to have a doctorate and things like that. I don't know if he does. I mean, again, I would assume he does, but I thought overall that was very interesting to find out. And Zay decides to try and track down the mother. She enlists number 5 to help her, and number 5 is still recovering from the machete in her back, and while her injuries are severe enough that she should be in the hospital, Chanel brought her back to their dorm so that they would have her nearby to insult, and finding Chanel has proved to be a more difficult task than Chanel anticipated. Her announcement on social media has yielded 0 results, so she and number 3 recruit a few patients instead. They also decided to track down a very gay superfan, Tristan, who's surprisingly the first gay character in the show. I was surprised to see that, because as we know, Boone wasn't actually gay. He just pretended to be gay. So, technically, Tristan is our first gay character in the show, and it's interesting his name is Tristan, because I think of Finn Wittrock on American Horror Story Hotel, and this character did not really serve better. I think this character was fun for what we had with him, but he definitely was kind of wasted. I will definitely say that. And the Chanels were appealing their murder conviction. They learned that someone was writing handwritten novels where all the Chanels were lesbians and all they did was have sex with each other, and that seems like something out of like a fan fiction. Like, there are so many fanfics about that kind of stuff. And after their acquittal, Tristan began to text Chanel constantly. Chanel gathered her new minions together, number 7, number 8, and Chanel, poor homie for men, which is why she called him that. And Chanel number 3 is threatened by the additions, particularly Tristan, who's both gay and male. She's concerned that he'll steal all their makeup, and by the fact that he looks like a serial killer. Even though Chanel argues that gays don't kill, there are peaceful, musical people. There are, in fact, some that, number 3 feels have killed. And number 3 definitely knows her shit when it comes to killing. We know how fucked up number 3 is. We know how devoid of emotion she is. And I like the way that Chanel is optimistic. I like that she's not completely devoid of this. Like, she feels like this could actually go well. And I think it just sets up, maybe this is going to go well, seeing these Chanels again. I will admit they're not really that interesting, but I thought overall it was kind of cool the way they introduced Chanel's here, really even had that aspect of the show this season, so to have them back here, that was kind of cool to see. So then we get this really great scene where Holt discovers what is ailing Penelope Hotchkiss. The woman has foreign accent syndrome, and it's a very rare condition and usually associated with a stroke or traumatic brain injury. And I looked this shit up. This actually is real, believe it or not. I'm surprised too, but this is actually a real thing. It can very well happen to someone, and that's something Scream Queen's doing really well. They're getting into these really obscure diseases that you wouldn't think are real, but they actually are real. I don't know if the wolf one is real from episode 1, but what happened to her, this can happen. And all of a sudden, we see Holt, number 3, and Cassidy. They begin developing accents as well, which was really funny to see. Seeing Holt with a Scottish accent, I nearly lost. He kind of sounded like Shrek, I'm not going to lie. And Holt wonders if the condition is mutated and somehow gone viral. Number 3 thinks that this may have been what happened to Madonna and suggested they call her. Had this episode been shot later, we know that obviously, definitely I think that was interesting to see, the way she said they should call her and everything. So definitely, I thought that was definitely a lot of fun to watch, and some of the most fun parts of this episode, definitely some of the most fun I had with this episode is seeing all of these characters, that having these accents and just randomly switching between them was just a lot of fun to watch, because it is something that is present throughout most of this episode. Throughout most of the episode, Holt, Cassidy, and number 3, they talk like that throughout almost the entire episode. It was pretty fun to see, and I really do give it to Taylor Lautner, John Stamos, and Billy Lord. That's not easy to do. It really isn't, especially when you're not used to having an accent. So the fact they could just randomly come up with one like that definitely takes talent, and they definitely did pull it off here. It was a lot of fun to watch, and definitely one of the most fun scenes I think we've had all season. So Zayday finally catches a break on her investigation. We find that a woman named Jane Hollis filled out a missing person report for her husband Bill on November 2nd, 1985, exactly 48 hours after his body was thrown to the swamp, which, if I'm not mistaken, that is the first scene we ever got of this season. We know that first scene where there were the 2 doctors who threw the body into the swamp. That's how this entire season started. So I'm pretty sure that Jane, I knew it was all going to be led back to her at some point. I knew that was going to happen. There was a reason we saw that, and I like that already we're starting to put that together. But Chanel's on duty late at night. She's reunited with Hester. Now that Denise is frozen, there's nobody to put her back in her cage, so she knows that Chanel's recruiting new members, and she actually wants in. And since Hester has the mind of a serial killer, Chanel figures that Hester can help them prevent getting killed. Even though they don't necessarily trust her, they understand, that she wants to be on their side, and it's better to have allies than to have more adversaries. So I get what Chanel's thinking is here. The other Chanel's object, but Chanel thinks that the trade of finding out who the Green Meanie is worth the risk of possibly being slaughtered in their sleep. I still think there's something sketchy going on with Hester. I don't really know what it is, but definitely something's going on with her. We'll have to see. But Zayday number 5 then go to visit Jane Hollis, who hasn't seen her son in years. The 2 we find out were actually never that close, and Jane believes her husband died that Halloween and that Dr. Mike and Nurse Thomas faked the paperwork releasing him from the hospital and tossed his body into the swamp, which is very true. We know exactly that's what happened, and I like that she already has an intuition that that's what's going on. You definitely get the sense it's a revenge mission, and definitely whatever's going on there is connected to said revenge, so definitely there's something happening with that. So after discovering that Jane is white, Zayday assumes that Chamberlain can't possibly be her son, which isn't necessarily true. There is, the fact that there are interracial couples, and number 5 spots a photo of Jane with a man she assumes to be an NBA player, and Jane informs him that the man was her husband. This lends credence to Zayday's theory that the Fox Candy Striper could be the baby in the belly after all. He very well could be the baby, and Chamberlain being the one I think could be interesting to see. Definitely seems like a character we wouldn't really suspect, but I don't really want it to be Chamberlain, I have to say. I just don't really know if that's really what it's going to be. But Zayday confronts Chamberlain about pretending to work at the hospital. He insists he did it because he really likes helping people. He's disappointed that Zayday would question his motives, and right now, he sounds sincere. It sounds like he's sincere. It sounds like he actually, like I said, genuinely did want to help people. But we don't know if that's actually the case. We'll have to see really where that's going to go. I'm going to say right now that he's telling the truth. I don't think that he's lying about this. I want to say that he is telling the truth, but at the same time, I don't know. But we'll have to see, because I honestly don't really know. But Holt determines that Penelope's brain is swollen, causing issues with part of the brain that controls language. All she needs is a shot of steroids and she'll return to normal. However, he fears that himself, number 3, and Cassie will be plagued with horrible, inconsistent accents for the rest of their life. And after reading a paper written by an involuntary biologist, it would seem that they're all afflicted with Madonna syndrome, which again is a real thing. It actually what happens to people when they are around a foreign accent. They pick it up so they don't stand out, and that is a real thing. I've seen it happen to people, actually. If you go in, like, a faraway country, you start talking like that. You actually do start developing an accent, and it's hard to get rid of it, and it's sort of a camouflage for the cultural outsider, just because they don't want to feel different. They want to feel accepted, and a way to feel accepted is to, basically turn on this accent and make it seem like you are actually English, or you're actually Scottish, wherever the hell you are. You want to make it seem like you are part of that culture, and all they need to do is lock themselves in a room, watch television movies and shows that feature straight down the line American accents. And I thought it was funny that he got the Americans, but he didn't know that it was a show about Russians. I thought overall that was pretty funny to see. I mean, there are Americans in that show. Watch Stan scenes, watch Paige scenes, watch Philip and Elizabeth scenes, and you're good. But there is a lot of obvious, Russian in that show. So really not the best show to watch when it comes to American accents. But again, this is just a lot of fun to watch. I like seeing the characters doing something a little bit different for a change. And I like the way it actually affected every single one of them. Like, this wasn't just a random patient that was gone. This actually did affect them. And I thought overall that was a lot of fun to see. And that really did add to this overall. I thought overall it was definitely a lot of fun. I really did enjoy, what they did with this. Just, like I said, little things like that. Scream Queen's doing a really good job of just having really outrageous, diseases. But they work so well because they're really funny. And the fact that the show isn't taking itself too seriously is one of the reasons why the season's working out as well as it is. But then we get this great scene between Munsch and Ingrid that I absolutely love. Basically, she tells her straight out that she doesn't like the way the nurse treats the staff, and she decides to fire her. She does not like the way she's treating, the Chanels, and she happens to be addicted to pethidine, which is a painkiller, and and that's probably why Ingrid's been away. She missed the drug as the best friend she's ever had, and while she may think about it morning, noon, and night, she's not addicted. And after calling Munch a creaky old whore, Ingrid announced that she won't be going anywhere unless Munch wants everyone to find out about the terminal illness she picked up eating human brains, because yeah, it is pretty fucked up that she found that out, but Ingrid warns Munch not to cross her, and I like this. I like the feud that these two have. Ingrid's been very much to the wayside, and I thought that's because they were going to reveal that she's the killer, but I think it's pretty much established that the killer is in fact a guy, so Ingrid obviously can't be the killer. I don't know if she has a connection to the killer possibly, but I still feel something's going on. There's something about Ingrid I don't trust. There seems something very off about her, and Kirstie Alley's doing a really good job at portraying this character that I can't help but think there's definitely something larger at play. I don't know exactly what it is, but definitely some more is going on there, and I can't wait to figure out what that is. But to celebrate their new members, we see Chanel decide to throw this huge slumber party at the hospital. Of course, they're just using this as an excuse to use their new pledges to lure the killer. And we get kind of a reminiscent scene of the sleepover episode last year, which was one of the highlights of season 1 by far. They send number 8 on a scavenger hunt to find an expensive gift, but Tristan's determined to get his hands on it first. The Chanels have a genuine affection for Tristan, so they scurry to get him off before the killer does. They locate Tristan in the morgue and discover that he's been disemboweled. So there goes the waste of a potentially interesting character. I don't know why they killed, well, I do know, because they want to kill someone off in every episode, but why not kill off a Chanel? Why? Honestly, it would make perfect sense if they did that. Chanel wants to have new Chanels into the Chanels. Why not kill off one of the Chanels? Kill off number 5. Kill off number 3. I really feel that we should have only 2 Chanels by now. We should not have all 3 Chanels, and I don't know why they killed off Tristan. He was a character that could have done some stuff, and they did absolutely nothing with him, and it really kind of upset me. I wanted to see more from him overall, but I guess Ryan Murphy just likes to kill characters named Tristan. I don't really know. Either way, I was kind of upset to see him go, because I like the character, and I don't know why they killed him off so quickly. Kind of strange to see, but either way, he's dead within seconds, and Munch is actually okay, though, with the plan to use their new members as human shields. Although she can't officially say so, she's even taken upon herself to add some additional Chanels. Addison, number 9, Andrea, number 10, and Midge, number 11. One of them had 11 fingers. I don't remember what the other ones were, but each is a singular quirk or skill, none of which should be proved useful in tracking down the Green Meanie. Nothing really that's going to help them. But I do like the way they're kind of creating this army, and the way they're rallying against the Green Meanie is kind of a way we didn't really see them do with the Red Devil last year, and I kind of like the way that that's more of a thing this year. Last year was more of, a dorm sort of thing, and this season's more of creating an army and things like that, and I like seeing that overall. So then we get to the end of the episode. We see it's not good news for the Chanels because Hester's gone missing. She suspects that the girls may know something about it, and basically tells them that if they are behind this, that she's going to watch them die in the electric chair, and she's not going to be upset about it. She's not going to regret, if one of them are behind it. And the new Chanels then encounter the Green Meanie. Number 11 is the killer's next casualty, which, again, such a waste of a character. I mean, there was nothing they did with this character at all. Why they killed her, I have no idea. They should have had the episode end with Chanel, number 3, and number 5 confronting the Green Meanie, and maybe one of them getting killed. I would have liked to see that happen. But no, for some reason they killed off number 11. But then we get to the ending, which this was very interesting. We heard before in the episode that Cassidy had to go away. He couldn't continue doing the American accent. He couldn't continue watching the American stuff with them because he had to go away for personal business, which I don't know how he got rid of the accent so quickly. But we see him, he goes to his house, and it turns out that he's actually the baby. Jane is his mother. They clearly haven't talked in a while, but he is in fact working with her. These two seem a lot closer than what Jane said, and that is the way the episode ends. So now we have a new suspect. We'll have to see where really this is going to go. But let me get into the rest of this episode and where I really think we're going to go overall. So, yeah, I know a lot of people have suspected from day one that, oh, Cassie's a killer. It would make sense if he's a killer. And yeah, there was that bullshit theory that he was dead and everything. And yeah, he did say that he was dead. I don't think that's true. I think he's clearly covering something else up. I think there's definitely more going on with Cassie. There were a lot of cracks in his story. And I think that definitely something more is going on between him and Jamie, because those two seemed a lot closer than what Jane said. Just right off the bat, Jane said, oh, we were never really that close. But then here it seems like these two have like regular evenings together. So I don't really know. To me, they seemed really, really close. So I don't know if that was just me, and that's what I got from it, but to me, they seem very close. We'll have to see, but I think that there's definitely more to this story than what we think, and I don't know exactly what it is, but there's definitely more going on there. I think that's going to be very interesting to see what that's all about. But there's definitely more going on with that story, but we'll have to see. Definitely that's gonna be interesting. Now, as far as the whole Chanel's, I don't know why they killed off Tristan in number 11. It was just not really the time to do it, I think they could have easily let them live. There was no reason to kill these characters off. They just kind of killed them off for no reason. I don't really know why they did that, but alas, they were killed off, and I don't know where we're really headed with this whole Chanel thing. I mean, they don't really seem like these Chanels are that interesting, but hopefully they do more of them besides just to have more people to kill. Because Ryan Murphy likes to do this. He likes to bring in characters just to kill them, and I'm hoping that's not the case with this, because I've been liking the character dynamics so far this season, and I'm hoping that that's not the case, that there is definitely more going on there. I still really don't trust Ingrid, I have to say. Just something about her I just don't trust. I don't know if she's connected to the killer. I don't know if she knows what's going on. But something about her I really don't trust, and we'll have to see really what that's all about, because I just don't trust her really at all, I have to say. I think that definitely, something about her I really don't trust. And the fact that Hester's now gone missing also is a problem. Hester, definitely, I don't trust her. There's definitely something more going on with her. There's a reason why she wants to be reinvigorated with the Chanels, and I don't really know what that is. So we'll have to see really what that's all about, because I think that definitely is very interesting. I like this tension going on, though, between Ingrid and Munsch. The fact that Ingrid knows what Munsch did. She has that video. She's seen what Munsch did and everything, the way she's going to expose her. I think that's all very interesting, because, again, we don't really know if Munsch is dying from Carew. I think she is, but we don't really know. So that's going to be fairly interesting to see where that goes. I like the way these two are kind of pitted against each other right now. I think that's definitely going to be a lot of fun to watch. And then Zayday and Chamberlain. I like that we got a lot more focus on Chamberlain as a character. I thought overall he was very interesting to see in this episode, what's really going on with him overall. I thought that overall was really interesting to see. But is he sincere what he's saying? We don't really know. I don't think he's working with the killer. I don't think he is, but there's still a possibility that he could be, so we'll have to see what's happening with that. Overall, guys, it was a really good episode. I definitely did enjoy it overall, despite the fact that he didn't really do much with the Chanels. I thought overall it was a fun episode to watch. I think it could have easily killed someone bigger. You kill off Chad, and then you kill off Denise, then you followed up with a bunch of characters that I didn't really care about. I don't know why they did that, but either way, guys, let me know if you guys saw this episode. Loved your thoughts, and I definitely would love, what do you think? Do you think Cassie's a killer? I don't think he's a killer. I think it's way too obvious. I think there's definitely someone larger at play here. I don't know who it is, but that's my review. Hope you enjoy it. We'll see you guys in my next, which will be for the series premiere of the new MTV show, Sweet/Vicious, which I know you guys been waiting to hear my thoughts on, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.